Welcome to our podcast, Fuck the Diet Cycle, with myself, Lauren Knight, and Abby Lodge. This podcast is for you if you're ready to end the diet cycle. So grab yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's jump straight into this week's episode.
You're hot, you're sweaty, you feel like you're walking through air that is not parting, and you just can't be bothered to do anything. We get it. But that does not mean that you need to skip your meals, that you need to find yourself in the cupboard, snacking on all sorts of things and just being a little bit mindless. We're here to tell you in this episode how to stop the mindless eating, that we're not going to let excuses get in the way, and give you a few hints and tips on what you can do to try and help yourself when motivation completely goes out of the window because you're a hot, sweaty mess.
Yes, also known as welcome to England at the moment, with temperatures soaring at 35 degrees, schools shutting, and basically the country going on shutdown, which also for a lot of people meant that their weight loss plans went on shutdown, that everything went out the window because, like you said, they're feeling hot, they're feeling sweaty, they're feeling shitty. You know, we've all been there. You know, we all experienced it, but by skipping meals or coming off your plan or doing what, it's not going to help you in the long run. If you think about it, these temperatures in the UK that we're experiencing right now, they don't happen all the time. It's usually like a week or two of the year at most. And by constantly having that excuse, we're never going to, it's going to happen again, but equally, we just need to get on with it. We just need to stop using heat as an excuse. Yes, you're hot. Yes, you're sweaty. Yes, the kids are doing your head in. Yes, you're tired because, let's face it, the heat makes you really, really tired. But by you skipping your products and, nose diving in the fridge or whatever, how is that supporting your future self? It absolutely isn't. Because all that's going to happen is it's going to leave you feeling sluggish, even more hot, even more sweaty, sticky. You probably feel bloated. You feel disgusted at yourself, and then that spiral continues, and then it goes on and on and on, and then by the time we know it, it's Monday again, and there's another Monday, and then we're at Christmas. So instead of using every little climate change or whatever is going on in the world as an excuse, we need to get nailing those simple daily habits that we can do no matter the weather. The first one is going to come as no surprise to you guys, and if it does, you better get listening to the rest of these podcast episodes. Drink your water. Drink your water.
Can you say that again for those at the back?
Drink your goddamn water. We are sweating absolute buckets. We are losing fluids. We need to replace those fluids. Again, add in electrolytes as well because we need to keep everything in balance.
By the way, you can get from us. Sorry, just saying.
Yeah, with creatine in, which is just, that little added bonus. But we need to replace, our body needs to still function. When the heat obviously rises, your body signals that there's some sort of drought going on, so it holds on to everything. So people are like, yeah, I'm bloated, and I'm, you get like puffy ankles and things like that, but you still need to drink water to try and combat that, to try and keep flushing your body and keep your body moving, because things slow down in the heat. Your body is pumping blood to your skin and all like surfaces to try and open up your to vasodilate so that you can sweat. So everything else will slow down. So your digestion. So you may not feel as hungry. For some reason, I still feel hungry in the heat. Maybe I'm just a bit strange, but who knows? But a lot of people also weren't feeling hungry and were skipping meals. And again, that leads us into that really, really tricky trap of you've pushed it, then you're going to be absolutely starving and you're not going to be able to make any kind of good choice for yourself, and then you're going to end up binging and leaving yourself into that cycle again.
And this is the thing, right? Because your body is working harder to try and cool you down, to try and keep your internal temperature lower. Obviously, your heart is pumping more to try and get the oxygen around your body because it's close outside and all of that. Your body needs to be fueled correctly. So if you're skipping a meal replacement or a meal you are denying your body of the nutrients that it needs. And then what happens is, just like Abby said, you then go into that hunger territory where those mindful choices disappear because you've gone past that stage. So what do? You grab your sugary snacks, you grab your refined products, you're grabbing things that aren't going to fuel your body. They're just going to give you a little bit of satisfaction for what, all of 10 minutes, but then you're hungry again because your body's not coping, and therefore you're just filling it with empty calories, and it cannot do what it needs to do to keep you safe. That's what it's about here, guys. This isn't about losing the weight. This isn't about the scales reading. It's not that. We're here to tell you that everything you're learning on your journey is about keeping you in a routine that allows your body to be the best version of itself. And by fueling it correctly, you're going to help that. And a lot of people will come back at me and say, oh, yeah, but Lauren, it's ice cream weather. It's ice cream weather. Yeah, it is. I totally agree. And guess what? You can have the ice cream and you can have the ice cream. You don't need to skip the meal to have that, because we don't punish or restrict to then treat. Because one, we are not animals. We do not need to do things to earn our food. And also, we don't need to punish ourselves because we're not naughty. It's just food. But what you can do is be more mindful. So we've got the water flavorings. We both recommended to all of our clients, go and get yourself ice lolly molds, order it off of Amazon or whatever, go and support your local shop and make your ice lollies from water flavouring. Not only are you replenishing your water, which will make the water police very happy, but also you're having an ice lolly that's refreshing without putting in the additional sugar, which is going to give you that spike and that massive drop. So you've got that option. You've also got options of ice cream. Go and do your research. And I spoke to one of my clients and said, look, go on to NutriCheck, check out the ice cream that you're thinking about, and tell me if you feel it's worth it. If it is, have the damn ice cream. But if you sit there and all of a sudden you've educated yourself and you realize that the cornetto that you want is like 250 odd calories, I don't even know how much they are, it might even be more than that. If you sit there and go, whoa, actually, no, it's not worth it, you've made that mindful choice because you've educated yourself. And it's not about going, oh, but I can't have it now. No, you can. Because if you thought it was worth it, you'd have it without any guilt. The fact that you're saying no means that you realise that actually you didn't want it all along. It's just that it's hot and you go, oh, it's hot weather. That means ice cream. It's having these changes. So, Ab, when we were really hot last week, right, because we are just the same as everybody else, right, we're having to maintain and cope and get our kids through it and do our jobs and all of the things.
Most of our messages were like, I'm hot, I'm bloody hot, oh my God.
Yeah, but what kind of things were you doing to help you stay in routine? Because obviously you did as well, like me and like many people have the kids come home early. You was obviously on horsey watch as well because it's really dangerous for them. You had lack of sleep on top of all of that. So what did you do to make sure that you didn't then go and turn to the cupboard like other people?
So I plan my meals anyway. I have my meals planned for the week, and I had them planned for those particular days as well, because I knew on those particular days my kids are not going to want anything that's not either not a barbecue or like cold food. They're not going to want like a hot dinner. So I had that already planned, that I knew that that's what I was doing. So no matter what the day brought, my kids got sent home early, the horses were unwell, all that kind of stuff, I still had that was like my baseline. Get that done. I always every summer freeze water flavorings. Yes, I am in maintenance. Yes, I can have all the ice lollies and all the ice creams that I could ever wish for if I wanted, but they ain't bloody worth it, really. And I really, really like our water flavourings frozen, and so do my kids. And my kids have a lot of like ice lollies and stuff, but they have the water flavouring, so they are literally in the freezer all the time on constant like generation and top up. I made sure I kept myself cool. I mean, the kids did well. The school did spur this one on, but I was sitting with my feet in the pool at one point, but the kids were sitting with their feet in a ice bucket at school. absolutely blows my brains that they even had to do that. But again, keeping your feet and your wrists cool. A lot of people don't actually realise when your entire body is like, let's face it, we was dying last week. Keeping your feet, like your feet and your ankles and your wrists cool can really, really help bring down your temperature. So I was making sure I had my feet in the pool, or I was getting in the pool, but also like running your wrists under cold water as well can really help like bring you down. Obviously I was just trying to keep my house cool as well, which was a nightmare, which was just not happening. And staying hydrated, I think I probably drunk enough to sink a ship last week, even more than what I normally drink, but I made sure that I got it in, and I added electrolytes as well because I knew how much I'd sweat in. Life was not easy because obviously I had a sick horse overnight as well. So I just knew that's what my body needed to try and even its levels out and keep me on an even keel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't know about that wrist thing until you told me about that a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, when I was doing my exercise classes back to back. Without foul, after my MetaFit, before my body pump, people must look at me and think, you crazy woman, what are you doing? I go into the toilet and I just hold my wrists under the cold water. It's a game changer for me.
It really is.
It's taken me from going into that second class, standing there doing the warm-up of like the bar on my back, thinking I'm going to pass out, I'm so hot, I can't concentrate, to it's like a brand new body. It's so powerful. So that is definitely a really good one. And obviously you've got people traveling on trains, you know, having to work in offices and stuff. And we get it. We're human beings. We understand. But what we're trying to say is there is no food out there that's going to cool you down like any different
or
to
change the temperature.
It's not, you can't stand there and say, oh, I've got no appetite, that's why I didn't have my normal meal, but I did go and have a bag of crisps, or I did grab half a bag of biscuits, or whatever it may be. Like, that isn't a reason for you to skip a meal. That's an excuse. And we just have to be honest with ourselves sometimes, right? And go, actually, do you know what? Yeah, I made a few excuses. I was hot. I was bothered. I was pissed off like the rest of the UK. But I also allowed my excuses to be bigger than my commitment. And we talk about it all the time. Willpower isn't the thing that's going to get you through. And I certainly didn't have any willpower last week. Like, that went off. That was gone. It has to be commitment. It has to be truth. It has to be accountability. And sometimes we just have to take it on the chin and go, do you know what? This situation is shit. But at the end of the day, I want to be a better version of myself. And in order to do that, I need to be planning X, Y, Z. And, hate to break it to you guys, but the hot weather's coming back next week.
Yeah.
So therefore, we can learn from what we did last week and go, right, okay, this worked, this didn't. I know I made excuses there, but, this actually helped me out. And you're going to go and implement it next week. And you're going to make sure that next week is a lot better and that you feel good in yourself and you're doing everything you can to keep yourself safe, to keep yourself well, and to also give your body what it needs to function correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that this time of year as well brings a lot of impromptu barbecues. Like we do it a lot as well because it's easier. Also, just planning for your barbecues as well. So having stuff in your fridge, in your freezer, whatever, to chuck on the barbecue. If it is one of those really, really busy hot nights, but you just want to sit out in the garden, because let's face it, we love sitting out in the garden and having dinner, and a lot of people do. But make sure you've got something in at all times, whether you freeze your meat or do whatever you do with your meat. Have it in and have your salads and things like that. So then you are not, you don't get distracted by, any crisps or anything else that you will bring out. Because the hot weather doesn't mean that everything goes out the window, because that's just that, life has to go on, unfortunately. But there are other things that we can be doing just to, like you say, keep yourself safe, but also to keep yourself on track. Because the last thing that you want to do when it is like 35 degrees is then go and eat all the shit and then go to bed feeling really, really, really crappy, because nobody can sleep anyway. And then add on top of that the feeling of feeling crap. That's a recipe for disaster for everybody. So stay hydrated, plan your meals, get food in that you enjoy over the heat. Freeze your water flavourings if you are on the one-to-one diet for us. Also have your shakes as well as like ice creams, like make them so icy because they're delicious as well. And just keep yourself focused on what you want to achieve. What means more to you? Is it the ice cream man that comes round at 3:00 and rings his bell and gives you a really expensive, overpriced ice cream? Or is it you want to get to your goal and you want to feel absolutely amazing? Have that conversation with yourself.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on social media using the links below. And don't forget, new episodes come out every single Sunday.